Tonight, we're going to talk about why should we avoid sin. We talk all the time here about the fact that God's grace, basically, He loves us even when we sin. We don't stop being a Christian if we sin, because we all do it. We all mess up. So then what reason is there to avoid it? Why not go out and just do whatever you want, whenever you want to do it? We're going to look at a couple verses, and I printed them out on my paper tonight so I don't have to read the small print. John 10:10 is where we'll go first. I'm pretty sure I printed them from the New International Version tonight. John 10 verse 10 says, "The thief comes only to steal and kill and destroy, and I have come that they might have life and have it to the full." Okay, I found a little story online, and do you guys know how Eskimos hunt wolves? It's not the most pleasant story. So they take a knife, a very sharp knife, and they dip it in blood, and they let that blood freeze. Then they take the frozen blade, they dip that in blood, let that freeze, until they get several layers of blood on this knife. Then they go and stick it in the snow, handle side down, so that the blade is sticking up. It smells like blood. The wolves come up and lick it. They figure out that the more they lick it, the more of the blood taste that they're getting. And like any other wild hunter, that blood taste becomes addictive to them, and they keep licking and licking until they basically slice their own tongue because they've licked through all the frozen blood. And then they keep licking, and they don't realize that their hunger for this blood, their desire for the blood, they don't realize that it's their own blood satisfying them at that point. And they keep licking because they keep tasting the blood until eventually they bleed to death, and the Eskimo comes out the next day, and there's his wolf just waiting for him. And it kind of works the same way when we let sin into our lives, because at first it's enticing, and we approach it, and we like the outcome. You know, the Bible says that sin is enjoyable for a short season. We like the outcome, so we keep going back and back, and pretty soon it's damaging to us, and we don't even realize what's going on. The kinds of damage it can do to us, depending on what the sin is obviously different, but it can destroy families, it can destroy lives, it can harden our heart so that we turn away from God. I mean, these are dangerous things that sneak up on us, and we don't even realize it's going on. Proverbs 6:27, it's just a short verse, so I'll just read it to you real quick. It says, "Can a man scoop fire into his lap without his clothes being burned?" Which is, it's kind of an interesting thing to say. You don't put fire in your lap if you don't want your clothes to be burned. June 12th is Independence Day for the Philippines. 1991, one of the strongest volcano eruptions in history happened on that day. I don't know how to say this, Pinatubo, had been dormant for over 500 years. And it began to erupt, and 3 days later it exploded with twice the power of the 1980 eruption of Mount St. Helens. It was twice as strong as that eruption. The release blasted a cubic mile off the mountaintop, and it shook the earth for 8 hours. So these people around this volcano basically felt their earth shake for 8 hours. The eruption produced a cloud of ash that rose over 50,000 feet into the air. That's around 10 miles straight up into the air. If that wasn't enough, a typhoon then struck the island with fierce winds and torrential rains, which mixed with that ash that was thrown up into the air, basically creating a nasty storm. I mean, you got hot volcanic ash at the same time you got rain and typhoon winds. The United States had an Air Force base there, Clark Air Force Base, and it was so bad. It was a few miles away, but it was so bad that they were forced to completely abandon the Air Force Base. They couldn't save anything, just everything was damaged from the shake and the ash and everything else. Someone asked a volcano specialist, I think there was a volcanologist is what they're called. All right. Someone asked a volcanologist about what happened, and he said when a volcano is silent for so many years, people forget that it's a volcano and look at it as a mountain. You know, so people were living so close to this deadly volcano. And again, that can be tied into what we were saying to begin with. A sin doesn't cause us to lose our salvation, but, you know, we just talked about how deadly that can be. That's a deadly volcano, and if we're not careful, we treat it like a mountain, like it's safe. We don't have anything to worry about. Philippians 4, verses 8 and 9. It says, "Finally, brothers, whatever is true, whatever is noble, whatever is right, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, whatever is admirable, if anything is excellent or praiseworthy, think about such things. Whatever you have learned or received or heard from me or seen in me, put it into practice, and the God of peace will be with you." Another story that an old Cherokee used to tell his grandson about a battle that goes on inside every person. He said, "My son, the battle is between two wolves. One is evil. It is anger, envy, jealousy, sorrow, regret, greed, arrogance, self-pity, guilt, resentment, inferiority, lies, false pride, superiority, and ego." That's quite a wolf. "The other is good. It is joy, peace, love, hope, serenity, humility, kindness, benevolence, empathy, generosity, truth, compassion, and faith." The grandson thought for a minute and then asked his grandfather, "Which wolf wins?" The old Cherokee simply looked at him and replied, "Whichever one you feed." And that's the truth. Sin is dangerous because when we feed it, it has a chance to win. If we feed our faith in God, we feed all these things that Philippians was saying, whatever's true, noble, right, pure, lovely, admirable, excellent, or praiseworthy. When we feed those things, those are the things that win. God tells us how to live in this, not because He wants to be mean, not because He has a set of rules and He wants to flex His muscles, not because He wants a planet full of slaves, but because He built us. He knows how we work. He knows what's best for us. He knows how we're going to get the most out of our lives. And the way to do that is to avoid sin, to stop feeding that wolf that is evil, to stop licking that blade that is eventually going to kill us, and to stop letting ourselves get dangerously close to a volcano that could erupt at any time. And He knows that if we stay away from those things, we're going to live life and we're going to live it more abundantly.